Thank you. And one more thing that reminded me as well, actually. There's been a lot of controversy in the past over exactly why student organizations board can deny RSOs standing when they submit their constitutions. And it was never actually codified in the bylaws, but I put it in there so that we can deny them standing if they don't meet any of our random little things, like putting UofL at the beginning of their name, or not having a diversity statement in there that said they won't discriminate against anyone, things like that. But the big change in there, and this is the most controversial part, so if anyone has any thoughts, let me know. I said that SOB via a 2/3 vote can actually deny an RSO acceptance based upon grounds that we deem fit. Because there was a lot of controversy earlier in the year about one organization in particular that might or might not have been on sound ethical ground. Eventually it turned out that they were, we passed them, it was good. But technically we had no constitutional authority to say they could not exist. But in the case that SOB does deny an RSO acceptance based upon those issues, that's it would have to come before the full Senate and be voted on. That way we really know there's something wrong with this and doesn't need to be passed. But that power is there should we ever, God forbid, need to use it. So.
Now, just to clarify, these bylaws have been approved by e-board, and this is the first reading in Senate. So if anybody has clarification questions, they may be asked, but this will be coming back next Senate meeting for an actual vote and discussion. So
I realize this is more of a technical question. It might be a pain, but would it be possible to get the versions of what was taken out? Because it's really obvious what got added, but I had a little bit of trouble seeing what was removed.
There was nothing really removed per se. The one thing I removed was there was a definition for him, what word it was, but it was pointless. Okay. And I didn't remember anything. I just reworded things apart from that.
Do you still want the old?
I don't have the old. Well,
we have it though. So if you want that on black.
If it's not too much work.
Yeah, we can do it.
Yeah.
When SOB decides whether or not RSO can become an RSO, you said that's by your kind of guidelines or whatever, what you said. Is there going to be some kind of form of documentation that RSOs can look at and say, okay, this is what we need to do?
We have a paper that has all that on it already. It's just all of it wasn't in the bylaws.
Okay.
So pretty much it's like you have to have a certain set percentage of the people who are in the RSO be students. Only students can be officers, etc.
And it's going to be your decision or not, or the guys that you're working with to decide whether they will do it or not.
Well, we can only deny people based upon the bylaws, except in the case of a 2/3 vote for what we perceive to be an ethical problem with the RSO, and then it comes before the Senate. But typically it's business as usual apart from that.
So it's just ethical issues?
Ethical issues, we think there are pyramid schemes, things like that.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
There was that concern. And one more thing, they don't have to pick up their nice pretty certificate anymore. They can pick it up from student affairs. I listed that in there. Because I think that makes a lot more sense than making them come to a Senate meeting to get their certificate.
Are we still going to do the Senate meeting?
Yeah, we're still going to do it, but they don't have to come in order to be approved.
Any other?
Yeah.
So if the RSO lists in their constitution explicitly that they are not an exclusivist group, they're all inclusive, what other grounds could SOB have to deny them acceptance? I'm just wondering, I know you mentioned the pyramid schemes or whatever, but what other grounds, just out of curiosity?
Well, the one we were dealing with earlier in the year, I'm trying to remember what it was called. I can't off the top of my head, but it sounded a lot like a money laundering sort of thing. Okay. Like they were going to require large fees from students, and like turns out, and it was run by a for-profit business, and there was a lot of like, it turns out which one? Project. It all checked out after we looked into it, but we were concerned. I just wanted to make sure we had the power to say, yeah, this really doesn't make sense. We shouldn't have done it. Yeah.
And the Senate has the ability to override that.
Yes.
Any other clarification questions?
Oh, and another thing. Something else we've been doing all along. Sorry, I didn't have notes with me. But if during the summer, SOB can't always meet because people are out of town and we can't always muster quorum. I said over the summer, if an RSO needs approval, then one person from SOB and the top 4 can contingently approve them until the Senate can visit at their first meeting. So they can go ahead and request CPC funding and everything. Good?
Okay.
Good.
So this will come back to Senate meeting next meeting for a vote and discussion. We'll move on to the approval of February 22nd, 2011 Senate meeting minutes. I need a motion on the floor. For a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the question. All in favor of approving meeting minutes from February 22nd, 2011, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the minutes are approved. We'll move on to discussion of appropriations requests.
Like I said, we had 5 requests. The first one was from the American Constitution Society. It was $1,022 out of the Special Projects Fund for a dinner they're going to be having. We also have the American Medical Women's Association. They requested $600 out of the Special Projects Fund for a Women in Medicine Week luncheons that they're going to be having. The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, or IEEE, requested $750 out of the travel fund. They're going to the Southeast Conference in Nashville. Funk Style Cardinals requested $505 from travel to attend Bashville Stampede, its dance conference that they're going to be having in Nashville. And then also Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated requested $300 for travel to attend a Midwest Regional Cluster Leadership Training Conference.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the first one again?
The American Constitution Society.
And they requested how much?
$1,022 out of the Special Projects Fund for a dinner they're going to be hosting.
Is there not a max?
For special projects, there's not.
Okay,
For
just travel,
for travel, it's
$750.
$125 per person, up to 6 people, so it's $750 per
Who's the dinner for? That's what I was wondering.
I have it here somewhere.
How much is it for?
Yeah.
I think they said 30 people, and it was about 23 a person. It is for the American Constitution Society and the Black Law Students Association. They will be having it at, they had 2 different sheets. They're going to be having it at, it's a really nice restaurant in town, but she didn't write it on here. Sorry, but I can pass this around if you all want me to. It's their catering form, but it's $23.83 a person. That's all inclusive. It doesn't include tax, but it includes the tip. They don't have to pay a room rental fee or anything.
I don't feel entirely comfortable with
Yeah.
that.
Is it appropriate for students to request to pay for such a high dollar meal to have a meeting? And I mean, I just feel like it pretty much would tell any RSO, hey, let's go to Vincenzo's to have our meeting because we can request
Do you
this
remember where they
amount
said
of
they're going to
money.
be having it?
I don't.
No.
I just feel like that's kind of taking advantage of the funding for such a costly meal.
Well, they're having, they're bringing in a retired judge. They're bringing in Judge Nathaniel Jones. He's going to be leading a discussion.
So an outside guest is coming.
Yeah.
If we were in a motion, I would move to divide the question, but we're not in a motion.
I move to approve appropriation request.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or?
I move to divide the question, having the first request split off from the rest and all the rest remain together.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion about that motion? Seeing none, we'll move to the question. All in favor of dividing the first appropriations request from the packet, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, we're dividing the question. Now we're solely going to, well, can I have another motion to approve one or the other, the first or the second batch?
I move to approve the second batch of appropriations requests.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion about the rest of the appropriations request, taking away the first request? Seeing none, we'll move to the question. All in favor of approving the second batch of appropriations requests, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay,
I'm
those,
good with the first.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I'm not willing to say necessarily that they shouldn't have this. I just feel like we need to have more information about what's going on, namely like what the benefit to students is by having this dinner. Because I feel like they could have the judge come in and talk at a different meeting that doesn't cost $23 a head and possibly reach more students.
Would you all like me to read like what she has written down here?
Yes.
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 Okay, the American Constitution Society and the Black Law Students Association, both student organizations at the Brandeis School of Law, are working together to bring retired Judge Nathaniel Jones to the University of Louisville to discuss judicial nominations. Local attorneys that are associated with the two organizations will be invited to attend in an effort to bring the lawyer community to campus. There is a growing concern in the legal community due to the large numbers of federal judicial vacancies causing problems with the efficiency and skill level of the federal judicial system. The funding we are requesting would go towards a nice dinner that all attending students, attorneys, and professors will be invited to after Judge Jones speaks. The dinner location will be at a Louisville restaurant to encourage the lawyers to attend. ACS is a 105c3 organization, and due to its restrictions, the student chapters are not allowed to fundraise and can only accept funding from the university and national ACS. We're requesting funds from the national organization, but have never received more than $150 for an event we have held. The Black Law Students Association has limited funds to contribute to the event. The ACS has no annual budget due to the funding limitations. And I want to say, I'm not sure if this is the name of the restaurant or not, but I feel like Lucindo's or something. I think that's it. And like I said, if you all want to see the budget, I can pass it around. Anybody follow or who's interested?
A question about the budget. Are we paying for the judges and the lawyers or just for the students?
On here she has, they've had 15 students RSVP so far. They're expecting another 15 more before the end of the RSVP. The event's March 31st. I think that's until the week before.
So that would cut that. So that would only that's much more than the students are requiring.
Well, it's $5.67 for 30 people. So it's $18.91, and then there's an automatic 20% gratuity added that she mentioned.
But that's another $1,000. Where's the rest?
She put 1,000 for dinner, and then Zach added up to $1,021.14. So of course we rounded up to 1,022. So with tip and everything, it would be $23.83 times 30 people.
I moved
That's
to
2380 times 30 people is $714. And then where did you say the other?
They don't have it on here, so.
Okay, I motion to, give them the money needed per person, the 714, we can round it to, 720 or something.
So is that an amendment?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to the amendment to change the amount to 720?
And that would cover the expense of the meal that they need per person, since they didn't provide what the other $300 and something was specifically going to go to.
I have a question. We're making this
Well, I need a second first.
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion about the amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we making this amendment because there's an obvious miscalculation in the amount of money it's gonna cost for each head? Not 1,000, but 720.
Are we, sorry, what?
We're making this amendment because there's an obvious miscalculation in the amount of money it's going to cost for this dinner. It's-
Yes.
They don't need 1,000, but they actually need 720.
Yes.
And they've made a mistake, and that's why I'm making it.
Because of them, saying that it's only gonna cost $23.80 a head, right? For
Yeah,
30
$23.80
people.
a head, unless, it says on here, all-inclusive, unless you didn't include the 20% gratuity on that. But, it says all-inclusive, so I just.
The all
assumed.
inclusive included the tax and the gratuity,
It
so
did.
it's actually like
And,
22 something.
We talked to her, we informed her too that she would be charged tax.
No, we cannot put that.
So was there any other reason that would be more than, like, 300 more, like, cause I just went off
I don't
what
know.
Zach
I don't know
said.
what Zach multiplied because he did it on this calculator and then he came up with 1,021.14 and we rounded it up to 1,022.
Okay.
Jared?
Cause originally she just requested $1,000.
So this amendment assumes that we're willing to pay $23 a head for a dinner out of SGA's budget. That's pretty nice.
That's very
That's
nice.
yes, that's very generous of us.
Considering they said that the most they've ever gotten was $150, so I feel like anything over,
Well, it's $150 from their national organization.
that's the most funding they've ever received for
Yeah.
something. Okay.
Well, from a national, not SGA.
Yeah, they've never gotten anything from SGA in the past. according to
Paul,
this.
and then, I'm sorry, what's your name? Okay.
That's what she was first.
It's 30 students, but how many lawyers and how?
She did not say that either.
So could that be for the?
That could possibly be where it came from, but she said she did 15